Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura's Handmade Haven. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. Let's talk Christmas cards. Oh my goodness. So many years ago, I decided to start making my own Christmas cards. And I love making handmade cards, but sometimes, let's be honest, I want something that's pretty quick and easy to put together. And especially when it comes to Christmas cards, I just don't have the time right now with work and school to put in a lot of time for each individual card. So what I started doing is doing more of like an assembly line type process for my Christmas cards. And I thought, hey, this might help one of you out too. So we're gonna head on over to the computer first, and I'm gonna show you how I set up my template in Word, how I print the interior of my cards, cut them apart, and then I'm gonna show you a little bit in Cricut Design Space on how I think through what my card's gonna look like and put those things together and get those cut out, and then we'll head over to the craft table to put it all together. Now, I am not going to be putting together all of my cards today, but I'll put together a couple just so you can see how they come together so quick and easy. So I like to send A2 cards, which are basically 4¼ by 5½. And this year I'm going to do them in a portrait layout. So in Word, I've just created a 4-cell table, and these are the two sides they're going to be printed on. So that's the interior of my card and the sentiment. And let me give you a secret on that. If you're like me, card sentiments and phrases and all of that stuff are not my jam most of the time. I struggle with coming up with something creative and cute to say. So let me tell you what my secret is. I use Chat GPT and I told it, this is what I want. This is the feel I want. Give me some choices and then let's build off of that. So it gave me about 6 choices to choose from. I chose the one I wanted and I told it, hey, build from that. And it did. All right, so before I print these, what I'm going to do is, and you'll notice that this table is huge. It takes up pretty much the entire part of the page, and you can just click and drag your borders, your margins rather, from the top and the bottom to make that work. Same thing with the left and the right. And then after I got all of that done, I'm just going to right click on my table, go to Table Properties, Border and Shading, and say None. So now none of those lines are going to print out and you're not going to see it on my finished card. All right, so now all I got to do is tell it to print. And I am going to go into printer properties and tell it, hey, can you use the manual feed? And no, I definitely don't want to print on both sides. And I'm going to use the manual feed tray, not the normal tray. Now I have a laser printer and I'm going to go ahead and print out like 17 copies of this. I think that that's probably going to be enough. Actually, I'm going to bump it to 18 just in case. Now, if the manual feed doesn't have any paper in it, then it's just going to alert me and tell me, hey, put some more paper. So let me get these printed and then we'll tell you what I've done in Cricut. All right, so inside Cricut Design Space, what I've done is I just created 3 very simple little card fronts, and these are measuring 3.75 by 5 inches tall. So this will be great on the front of my card, and the idea is I'm going to give more of like a shadow box type feel this year, and it's just going to have a sweet little sentiment coming from one side, which you can also just kind of drag and drop around on the design space so you can see what it looks like as well. Now, to be quite honest, I'm not really sure about this reindeer just because I feel like this may become a little tricky to get those little antlers to cut out the way they should. I'm going to try it once, and if I don't like it, then I'm just going to scrap that idea and stick with just the tree and the ornament. All right, so I am using 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to go ahead and save my file here. So I always can get 6 of these onto the 12 by 12 paper, which is nice. I need about 36 cards, so I need 6 sheets of paper. So we're going to cut one of these and see how it goes. And if the reindeer gives us any problems, then we'll just scrap the deer and go with just the trees and ornaments. And I am going to tell it that I am using a heavy cardstock because I want to make sure that it does a really good job cutting. Let me get some cardstock onto a mat and we will head over to the Cricut. Now I'm cutting all of my card fronts first. And the reason I'm doing that is because that way I can go ahead and cut my card bases. I can fold all of those. I can cut the pattern paper that's going behind this, and I can layer this on the front of the card. Then when I'm working on all of those pieces, I can go ahead and have the Cricut working on my sentiments because that takes a little longer because it not only has to cut, but it also has to draw. So I'm going to be doing that with the Smart papers, and I'm going to use the sticker cardstock for my sentiments, for my cards. Now at the craft table, I'm just going to remove this frame of paper, and then I want this part for my card. And honestly, I could use these two. I don't know, I may do that. That may speed up my process even more. That's why stencils are fun, right? All right, so we're gonna take these off of there. And the reindeer actually did really well. So I guess we will have reindeer on some cards. He better be glad his antlers did not mess up because he would have been out of the pool. All right, I'm just gonna grab a few sheets of the cardstock. Now these are my cards that I printed out with the from Word. And this is an A2 card, so I just get to cut it at 5.5. And I had 3 sheets here, so I have 6 cards cut. Since these are 3 3/4 by 5, I cut these at 3.5 by 4 3/4, and that way they will nest right behind that little image on the front of my card. I can glue that down into place, and then it can go right on the front of my card. And these were printed, so all I have to do is fold it so that's the right place. This will be layered on the front of my card, and that's one of about 40 cards that I have to make. That's basically done. Now I will be adding that sentiment later, so let me show you how I make those. I'm just going to tell that I'm done for right now, even though I do have a lot more to cut. And I don't know if you noticed this before, but over here on the right, there's a place where you can either hide or see whatever you are wanting to do. So now my Merry Christmas tag is down here. So I'm going to tell it to make. We're going to say without a mat. Wow, it looks like I'll be able to get most of them on one. So let's go ahead and do 40. All of them will fit on one piece of Smart Materials cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and say 42 just because that way it will fill the entire sheet. And I will be good to go on all of my Merry Christmases. Smart paper, matless cardstock. Now I chose raspberry, but you know, I can put whatever color pen in there that I want. So let's go over to the Cricut and get that set up. If you haven't worked with the Smart paper before, it is so super easy and fun because you don't need a mat, you just put it in there and it just goes. Now thinking about the different colors that I have, I am going to just go with kind of a chocolate brown. This is actually called Moccasin. I think that'll work really well with the ivory color and with all the different colors of cardstock that I have because honestly, I'm working from my stash and I haven't primarily focused on scrapbooking or card making in a very long time. So I don't have like a ton of one thing to use for this. So I'm kind of using different colors of cardstock and different colors of pattern paper. So in order to get that done, I have kind of a trade-off that I'm not being quite as picky as I normally would be on what the papers are, what the cardstock colors are, as long as they match the pattern paper that I'm choosing. So while this works on all of my sentiments, I can head back to the craft table and work on some of my cards, just getting those fronts attached and getting those card bases built. And this will just do its own little thing and be happy by itself. And when it's done, I'll have all my sentiments ready to put on my cards. Okay, so you may remember that I only cut out 6 to begin with, but I will go ahead and cut out the others after the sentiments are done. I just wanted to be able to show you a completed card. Normally, I would have went ahead and cut out all the cardstock first and then did the sentiments while I was putting these together. But because I wanted to be able to show you what I'm doing, I decided to take a little break from the card fronts and just show you the sentiments. All right, so I'm just going to line this up on the back of this, stick that down. This gets glued into place, and then check where your card is, and then center it on the front of your card. Now, if you wanted to, you could most definitely run this card front through a Big Shot with an embosser. That would be super cute. You could also do some foiling with the Cricut. That would be super cute. I've just decided this year I'm going to keep my cards very simple. To cut out the accent pieces for my cards, it's just 4 3/4. And I am going to have some scrap left over, and I'm okay with that. It's perfectly fine. I've had this paper for so long. I am just ready to use some of it, right? Okay, so I'm going to move this down to 3 3/4. That was supposed to be 3 1/4, not 3 3/4. But simple fix. And this is 12 by 12 cardstock paper that I'm using just because I have several books of it from, I don't know, a few years ago when they were on sale at Michael's after Christmas. So that's what we're using. I don't just use stash when it comes to quilting. I definitely use my stash when it comes to other crafts as well. I think it's a good practice to get into for yourself, and it's definitely a good lesson to teach the next generation that, you know, instead of going out and buying all new things and getting everything that you feel like you need for a project, look through your stash and see what you have that you can use. All right, so I have 5 more card fronts, so I'll go ahead and get 5 more cards folded. And if you have a bone folder, that would be super helpful at this point in time. I do have one, but I'm not doing that many cards today. I'm just going to do a few until the Cricut gets done. And then I'll show you adding on the sentiments, and you'll see how quick and easy this card comes together. Then we'll also go over all the little tips and tricks that I shared with you along the way so you can speed up your process of making cards if you want to. Eventually, I aspire to get back to the point where I'm not trying to get things done in a quick manner. But for right now, with work and school and family and all of that, I'm just going to give myself some grace and just allow myself to take a few shortcuts when I need to. I do like these cards. They're super fun. They're very playful. They're not like traditional Christmas colors, which I think is fun. Oh my goodness, I hope I didn't put one on the wrong way. All right, so as soon as our sentiments get done, I'll show you how we're going to put those on. I am going to go ahead and cut out some more papers just so they're ready. So when my cardstocks are cut, then I will be able to assemble the rest of my cards as I have time, right? I'm not going to do that today, but that way all the pieces are cut, and that way when I have a few minutes, I can put a few together and keep moving. All right, so now that my sentiments are all done, I can start putting those on my cards. And I don't have all my cards put together, but the ones that I do have, I can show you how this is going to go so quickly. So we'll just put that on there, because again, this is the Smart paper. So it's actually a stickered cardstock. So you can just peel and stick your sentiments wherever you want on the fronts of your cards or whatever you're working on. Now, I will tell you, here's another little secret for you. I also do this for Christmas tags. So I let it cut out a bunch of my tags with a little to and from on there, and then I can just peel and stick these onto gifts rather than having to tape them on or find a ribbon to tie them on or figure out a way to get them adhered to the packages. I use the Smart materials and just make my Christmas tags with those. And then anything we don't use this year, I just throw in with the wrapping paper and we have for the next year. So I have 6 cards here, pretty quick and easy. I have another 30 probably to go. But for right now, this is what I want to show you. So just let's wrap up with all the tips and tricks I shared. Okay, so this is where I'm going to quiz you too. So I'm going to go down the list of tips and tricks that I shared with you. I'm going to try to remember them all, but if I forget one, or if you have a tip or trick to share about making assembly line Christmas cards, put that in the comments down below. Okay, so first up, use Word. Just put it in a 2x2 grid table, put your sentiment or your inside message wherever it should be, depending on how you're going to fold your card, and then remove those border lines and put that cardstock right through your laser or inkjet printer. Make sure that your cardstock isn't super, super heavy, right? So you're looking for like a normal weight cardstock, not the really super duper heavy weight cardstock, but one that will be good for a card, but not too bad on your printer. So you can put those all through your printer, and then your card bases are all set and ready to go. All you got to do is cut them apart and fold them. Next up, I showed you how I made kind of like a shadow box effect with just a rectangle and Cricut, and I just used some very simple single layer cut files and attached those and sliced them with a rectangle to create those little window effects for the front of my cards. So then after that, I cut those out with the Cricut, and I can get 6 on a page from 12 by 12 cardstock, which is pretty good, honestly. I have 3 different designs. And then I showed you how I created the sentiment also in Cricut, and I used that Smart materials. That way they are just peel and stick stickers to put on the front of my cards, and I don't have to worry about finding a glue or whatever to adhere these sentiments to the front of my card. So then the pattern paper that goes behind the cardstock that we cut out with the Cricut, I just put that in 1/4 inch narrower and smaller, basically, from height and width, and that way that would nest back behind the cardstock on my card. Now, if you wanted to, a little twist for you, what you could do is you could make this cardstock piece, you can make it even a little smaller, and then the pattern paper could even have a little border around the outside of this, and that would just add another layer of interest to your card and be super cute and super easy to do as well. So while the Cricut was cutting out the cardstock fronts for my card, I was cutting down my pattern paper and my card bases and getting a few of those folded. After that cardstock front was cut out, I asked the Cricut to just go ahead and do all of my sentiments, and while it was working on sentiments, I was assembling cards. So then once all those sentiments were done, I have a stack of cards that I can add those sentiments to, and just like that, today, I had 6 Christmas cards done in practically no time at all, and I really have all the pieces for all the other cards cut out and ready. So now when I have a few minutes to spare here and there, I have my kits set up, and I can just glue them together and get my Christmas cards together pretty quick and easy. So yeah, that's a few tips and tricks that I do, and just think through the process, like what can I be doing while this is doing that? There's no reason to just be standing around waiting on the Cricut to do its job, because if it's working the way it should, it doesn't need you to stare at it, right? I don't want to stare at my Cricut. I mean, it's kind of fun watching it cut sometimes, not gonna lie, but for the most part, it doesn't need me standing there hovering, because it's kind of the same way as like the watch pot never boils, where, well, the Cricut, I swear, when I'm watching it, that's when it messes up, not when I walk away. Anyway, I hope that if you're making Christmas cards or holiday cards or birthday cards or all occasion cards or whatever kind of card that you want to make a whole bunch of the same type in the same fashion. Ooh, wedding invitations, thank you cards. That would be a great way to do something like this too. Think about how you can break the project down, make it easier on yourself, make it more efficient, more organized, and a lot quicker to put all those cards together. Until next time, find joy in all you do, carve out some time for crafting and creating, and remember, it's always better when you make stuff up.